Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today I am going to be talking about winter sowing, what it is, why you might want to do it, and how to do it. So first of all, I'm going to show you what I've already got started. I don't have milk jugs saved up anymore because if you don't know, I recently moved from South Bend to Kentucky and I only fit what I could in my pickup truck to take down here. So that being said, not everything got to go with me, but my grow light sure did, and so did my seed collection. So let me show you what I've got. Also, if you don't know, I did break my wrist, and so I had my sister help me with this, and she didn't, I guess I didn't specify. She should have wrote the labels more up here instead of where I was going to tape, but she didn't know. I was teaching her as well. So it looks like I've got oregano, lemon balm, colossal asparagus. I couldn't find my Sharpie, so I used a pen and wrote it on a piece of Scotch tape. I'm not sure what this is. Strawberry blonde calendula. Not sure what this is. And I believe I have Groninger's Brussels sprouts in the kitty litter jug. So let's go inside and get some more seeds sown. So, what is winter sowing? Winter sowing is basically sowing your seeds in an opaque or clear container with drainage holes at the bottom that you start in the middle of winter, like now. So, you could have started as early as December if you wanted to, January. Realistically, unless you're in a warmer climate, and now I'm in zone 6B versus 5B, mine's going to take off a couple weeks sooner. However, for most people, you probably won't see any sprouts just quite yet. But what's cool about this is, for one, you don't need a grow light. For two, well, you just use recycled materials and some potting soil. And three, why not? Something to do in the middle of winter instead of starting everything at once. Yeah, you could stagger it like I'm doing now. Now, I will say that unless you are in a warmer zone, like Florida or whatever, you're going to want to start with your cooler crops. Last year, I did winter sowing for the first time, and I experimented with green beans. Well, as soon as they sprouted, but as soon as we had a freeze again, guess what? They died. So it doesn't work for everything quite yet. However, last year, the weatherman also lied to me and said it was going to be slightly above freezing. I took his word for it, left my peppers and tomatoes out in my greenhouse, which I didn't get to bring with me, by the way, and they died. So I started peppers and tomatoes under both grow lights and winter sowing style, and I had transplants out of both ways. So you can do it. You just got to know when. So the cooler crops that I've started is like calendula, spinach, lettuce, Brussels sprouts, oregano. Oregano's a perennial though, so it'll do just fine. I do have lavender seeds stratifying in the freezer, and I'm pretty sure I may not need to stratify them in the freezer because it does freeze, but I am in a warmer zone and it doesn't get quite as cold. Yay! Anyway, so that's my take on it. So it's really simple. You start off with a milk jug, kitty litter container, 2 liters of soda, something like that. You just don't want it to be dark where sunlight's not going to go through with it, okay? Now, because I am starting with a bigger drill bit. This one's probably not even a 1/4 inch in diameter, but it's still bigger, and it's harder for me, especially having a broken wrist, to press in to start the hole. So I'm going to start pilot holes with my pocket knife and also cut. So that leads me into the materials you will need. Something to put holes in it, whether it be a knife, a drill, a soldering gun, a hot nail on the stove, whatever you could come up with to put drainage holes at the bottom. You will need duct tape. And the Duck brand, it works okay. The off brand works better, and I also used Gorilla Tape last year, and that worked fine too. Maybe you want a pair of scissors. I'm not sure if you do or not. It's fine if you don't. If you end up using it, you do, and if you don't, you don't. No way, huh? A pitcher of water, a spray bottle of water, and of course, seeds. So I did just recently get a Baker Creek heirloom seed order in, and of course they always give you free seeds, well, depending on your order size. This one I got Merlot lettuce. Look how beautiful that is. And it's supposed to be a crisp lettuce. It says, reputed to be the darkest red lettuce in existence, frilly leaf margins, crisp, waxy leaves. Recommended as a cutting type for baby green productions or cut and come again harvesting. And that's my favorite. Cut and come again is my favorite. I don't prefer to grow heads of lettuce. I like to take scissors, cut them, let them grow back. And then I have echinacea, purple coneflower. And this says sow outdoors in spring or late summer at least 12 weeks before the frost date. First frost. Sow seeds evenly and thinly and cover with 1/4 inch fine soil. Firm lightly and keep evenly moist. Seedlings emerge at 14 to 21 days. Blooms summer to fall. And echinacea is also great for your immune system. So I'd like to have more flowers and herbs around here that are beautiful, but also I can use medicinally. Hence the lemon balm and lavender and calendula. So that's a whole other subject. Oh, you need a marker. I do not suggest a Sharpie because it just doesn't last the weathering as long as a black paint marker, but I did not pack that. So this is what I found around the house, and this is what I'm going to use. You'll also need potting soil. This is Miracle Grow organic potting soil. I do not prefer Miracle Brand or Scott's just because of their parent company and things that they're tied to, but that's what Lowe's had on hand, and that's what I got. So, first thing you're going to want to do, and this is what I learned last year, even though I did it backwards from what I'm telling you several times, and I'll probably end up doing it again because that's how my ditzy blonde brain works. I'm going to make some pilot holes on the bottom. And I like to use this ridge right here to put holes in because then it's not, if I set it on something flat, it's going to be sure to drain. So I like to make sure I put some there. Oops, didn't have my knife locked. Oops. So I have 4 going down that little ridge there, 2 and 2, and then I have 3 on each side of here. This part, because I am slightly crippled, I'm going to have to do this kind of awkwardly, and you may not be able to see it, but I'm going to try my best. Are drilled out. Now I do highly suggest doing it this way first instead of cutting around here first because it makes it harder. It's not as stable to drill the holes in. So that's just what I was doing backwards even though I knew better. But I showed you right this time. So I'm going to make a hinge right here at the handle. Okay, so I'm going to start from the side of the handle and go towards the center on both sides and then just meet in the middle. doesn't have to be perfectly straight across. I mean, it just makes it a little more interesting to tape up, but it's fine. So, yeah. Now, I have a cup so I can get soil out of my bag and slap it in this here base. And I'm going to fill it almost full. That way it has plenty of room for the roots to go down and all of that. The soil to pack down more even after I pack it down by hand. Oops, there's already a cup in there. Okay. Now I'm pushing it down, and I'm not going to like pack it down like a brick, but I'm making sure that there's no air spaces and the like in there. So now I'm going to take my beautiful Merlot lettuce here. It does say plant 6 inches apart, but if I choose to transplant this, I can remember that spacing then. Since I'm starting them in the milk jug, I don't have to worry about that spacing so much because I can transplant and then worry about the spacing, because in here I'm not going to let them get that huge. Got a fair amount of seeds here, and then I'm just going to take it, sprinkle at the top. Yeah. I mean, I could be a little bit more meticulous about this, especially if it was a different plant like the asparagus or something, but it's lettuce. It's not going to be that big of a deal. Like tomatoes and stuff, you would definitely want to be a little bit more meticulous about the spacing. You wouldn't necessarily have to follow exact spacing, but it's better off if you space them better. That way they don't get tangled and all that. Okay, then I'm just going to lightly cover it with soil. And then I am going to spray it. This soil, I know I got the pitcher of water out. My soil is already really moist, so I am not going to, didn't worry about watering it. You can, it definitely wouldn't hurt, but I'm doing this on my dining room table. So now, what we're going to do, we're going to close it up. You're going to take your handy dandy duct tape, and I do find that if you put the tape on in sections, it's easier. So I'm going to cut off this tape, and I like to start from the hinge area. And yeah, I'm kind of cutting little slits so that way it lays better. You may or may not find that that's necessary. So, but I was just telling you what I was doing with the knife. So if you were to start tomatoes or peppers in this style, so I'll move the cup out of the way, I would suggest doing it after your last frost date, because it will have a little bit of protection with being covered. It's like having a frost row cover over your crops. However, you know, sometimes temperatures might be a little too cold for particular plants, but if after your last frost date, unless you bring them in overnight when it gets too chilly out, that's also another option you can do. Or I have seen, I cannot remember what her name is for the life of me, She had her milk jugs under one of those row covers, her jalapenos, and it seemed to work for her. She was in a pretty warm area like the area I'm in now. She's either from Kentucky or Tennessee. I cannot remember. Watch me run across her name on YouTube someday. I'll be like, oh yeah, that's her. Why couldn't I think of her name at the time? If you know who I'm talking about, she loves cut flowers. So I'm going to go ahead and I would suggest writing it at the top, and don't do like my sister did and write it under here what it is. Merlot lettuce. And last year I did date when I sowed the seeds, but it really didn't benefit me in any way. So if you want to date it, date it. If not, don't worry about it. So I do hope you find this tutorial informative and practical and fun, and it's something to do with the kids, especially if you're farther north and you're stuck in the snow that they still have up there. Yeah, I'm glad I missed that. Anyway, guys, thank you for stopping by, and I love you, and so does Jesus. God bless everybody.